Good morning. On behalf of the People's Heart and collaborators, we are welcoming you to day 2 of our Black History Month programming. All of our programs this week are being recorded and will be available on the Black Project website and People's Heart YouTube account. So let me introduce to you Christine Rose, licensed massage therapist and co-founder and owner of Four Corners Yoga Plus Wellness in Dorchester, an inclusive, accessible studio that provides services to everyone. Christine will guide us through a self-care routine to teach us to calm our nerves and get the day started right. So I'll hand it off to Christine. Welcome. We are so thrilled to have you here.
Hello, and thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today. I am welcoming you all to just get yourself in a comfortable space. And typically I like to get ourselves grounded in setting our environment. So if you have a candle you want to light or have any kind of aromatherapy, I welcome you to grab something. I have a little patchouli oil, so I'm just going to put a couple of drops in my hands. And I'll have you get in a comfortable position. I'm typically seated because what I'm going to be doing is all on the upper body. So you can get seated in the most comfortable way and perhaps putting a couple drops of oil in your hands if you have that. And if not, don't worry. Still rub your hands together to create a little friction and heat. As you do that, you'll feel your hands getting warmer. And you can place your hands over your eyes, or for me, because I put the oil, I'm going to take an inhale and exhale. And just a little bit more grounding for yourself, placing your hands on your lap or keeping them on your eyes. Take an inhale in. And exhale out. So I'd like to start by showing you techniques to relax. I'll start with the arms, work up to the shoulders and neck, which is the primary. And if we have time for any of the lower body, I can show you some of that as well. Because I'm seated low and I want you to be able to see, I place a pillow on my lap. What we'll do is we'll just start by, let me just tilt my camera. We'll just start by doing some Swedish-like techniques called Effleurage Strokes, just warming up the forearm with gentle strokes, no squeezing just yet. I usually do each stroke about 4 times. And as I do that, I can then begin to do some compressions. Typically, we do want to move up towards the heart when we're doing massage techniques. But in all honesty, unless there's some contraindication or if somebody has some kind of circulation problem or any kind of swelling, sometimes I do work going the opposite way as well. As I've done each one of my techniques, I kind of was assessing and feeling like where it felt good, if I felt any tension spots. So now I usually like to do a little bit at my elbows because for myself as a massage therapist, I feel that kind of tension spot in there. And I'm just using my fingers and going in small circles around and around, right around in that joint of the elbow, just below, not exactly on the bone, but on the soft tissue. And you don't have to push hard on that. I'm just doing a little bit to assess. Come back down and give a smoothing stroke. Whenever I work deeply, I like to give a couple of smoothing strokes to make it feel nice again. I'm going to squeeze my fingers. I'm rubbing my fingers like as if I'm milking a cow. In school, we learned to call this milking. And just thinking each knuckle section. Going up and up and up. And squeezing it this way as well is also nice feeling. And then of course the thumb, don't forget the thumb. Now we can do the other arm. There's not, this is a protocol I'm showing you, but it's not that it's the one and only. You could start up at your upper shoulders. So you could start wherever you would like to do things. And I also meant to tell you that you could put on music. I didn't put on music today, but music is also nice to calm the nervous system. And doing a little bit more of those circles again at that muscle here. Being right hand dominant, I am definitely have more tension in this spot here. I could also curl my fingers like this and just do the little compressions right in that way by using my fingers, playing the piano, if you will. And another option is, if you wanted more pressure, is you could use your forearm. Now notice how I'm not pushing down with my forearm, I'm rocking forward. So I'm using my body mechanics to best manipulate the compression. As I roll my forearm, I'm using the ulnar side of my arm because the bone is sharper, if you will, more pointier. So I just keep going right down into the palm. I could also use my fist. It just depends on how strong your muscles are. If you're able to do that, that might take a little bit more work. But it's all really this rocking forward. Is the pressure is coming from my body versus my arms. And the next section now will come up to our biceps. So again, just a couple warming techniques up here. And then the compression. As you're doing this work, remember to breathe. It's important to inhale and exhale. It's one of my favorite sayings. When I'm in a moment of stress or tension or high activity going on and I need to just calm myself, I just, and exhale. When I come up to the deltoid, I like to give a full compression with my hands. And I like to even kind of grab in the back of the shoulder, the bone there. As I grab there, I can feel the little spots and I could do that piano-like technique and come across. That feels really nice. If you have the range of motion, you could also do some tapotement gently on you, not on the bone because it won't feel as good. So these are all variations. You don't have to do that if that's unsettling and jarring to you. So let's do the other arm now. And as we do these compressions, I personally, as we do these techniques, I personally do not use lubricant when I'm doing self-massage because if I'm wearing my clothes specifically, I don't want it to get all over my clothes. But you can use lotion or oil if you like. Good time to do this perhaps is after you've showered because your skin could utilize this. Again, being right hand dominant, I just found the spot that I wanted to spend a little time on, and so I'm just using my fingers like a piano. And that feels really great. And now, I'm just going to sit down here, shoulder-wise. So on the shoulders, again, we'll do these effleurage strokes, just warming it up. By warming it up, you could warm it up with a heating pad or a hot towel or one of those rice bags, and then do the massage. If you it doesn't need to stay more than like 5 minutes. That's why when we're doing these self-massage techniques, it's usually 4, 5, 6 strokes. The shoulders are typically tighter. So by using some arnica or candula oil or some kind of Nice oil to help release tension. Rosemary is also good. You could, that will help facilitate the change. So after I have warmed up, I'm doing the compressions here. Again, if you don't have the range of motion, this might be a challenge for you. And what you can do, I'll show you some alternatives. So in order for your fingers not to get tired, you really want to do your best to use your body mechanics. So now, because in this position, my fingers are already getting tired trying to do this. So instead, I'm going to pull. So I'm using my fingers in that C shape. I'm just pulling forward. And I can feel a nice release in my my supraspinatus. This is your upper shoulders. This is one of the rotator cuff muscles, and people can sometimes get an injury up in here, or it might be inside of the deltoid, or the teres, or the pec. The other option, if you're not able to reach, you could try to do it with this same hand. It's not always as fulfilling, in my opinion, but you can see what feels best for you. But I'm just using my hands this way and coming down. Okay, I'm gonna come onto this side now. And on this side, right hand, left hand, you might not have that same range of motion, so it might be challenging to do this. But coming across is also very effective. So I'm just pulling forward, just using my fingers like a C, and pulling forward. And breathing. And sometimes I like to put my hand behind my back to change the positioning of the muscle, and I can feel a little bit more release in there. Feels really good. That feels very nice. You can put your hand even behind your back in this way, and that opens up the shoulder some more. But if you're not able to get your hand all the way back there, you can just put your hand behind you and across. So now we're going to move to the neck. So I'm going to come closer so you can see this. And with the neck, I like to do what they call the clamshell. So I'm just taking my hands behind my head. And I'm placing them right underneath my ears. I can feel the bone underneath my ears, and I'm squeezing backwards. So I'm just coming and pulling back in this way. Okay? And I'm just doing it like 3 or 4 times. And that's just warming it up in preparation to do a little bit more of the techniques. Now I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see some of the techniques that I'll do. So on the side of the neck, I like to take my fingers and just come right underneath the, behind the ear, right underneath the bone there called the mastoid, and just take your fingers and just drag them backwards. You don't have to put pressure, you're just dragging them back. If you do it light, you'll see you'll even get a little bit of an effect because it's pulling on the fascia. So just pull backwards till you get to your your cervical vertebrae. And you can just come down the line towards the base of towards the upper part of your shoulders. So the lower part of your cervical spine. You could also just use your fingers in this way, just again doing the playing the piano along the back of the closer to the vertebral column, and just piano downwards. And then I do the next line coming forward towards the front of my neck, and again towards the front of my neck. That feels really great. Another thing that I would suggest doing is a little bit of stretching. Sometimes to do that beforehand might be helpful. And I'll do that afterwards. So on this side, I'm just going to come over here and do the same thing on this side. Actually, I want to make sure you can see. So on this side here, I'm going to pull my hands forward, my fingertips forward, starting at the back, and just keeping my head soft. I don't want to clench up, so the muscles can be relaxing at the same time you're dragging. You're facilitating a release. And you just come as far forward as it feels good. And then we could just use your fingers and do the cat walking again. Cat walking, piano playing. I use those terms interchangeably. And the stretches that I would recommend for the head, because your head moves in all motions, so I will first take my ear to my shoulder. So I take my hand, place it on the other opposite side of the ear, and gently pull to my right so that my chin is staying parallel, if you will, to the floor. It's not exactly parallel, but just think in that way, that your ear is going to the shoulder. And try to keep the other shoulder down, not hunching it up, because we have a tendency to do that. You can just place it behind you or let it dangle, and you'll feel that stretch. I hold it for 10 seconds and breathing. And then I will relax and do it one more time. And you can typically find when you do it 2 times, you'll get a little bit more of a release. And holding it again for 10 to 15 seconds is ideal. And breathing. The next stretch that I would recommend to do is going, and you could do that on the opposite side too. I'm not doing this at this exact moment because I wanted to show you the other stretch first on the side. You're going to take your head down, and chin is going to this opposite. You take your head down, face your opposite hip. So we were just working on our left, so I want to push my chin down to my right hip, and taking my hand, base of my skull, and just letting it come forward. And breathing. Again, letting the hand just stay down. You could also place it behind you, or like you're putting your hand in your pocket. And you can feel the stretch a little bit more laterally. And just lift your head up slowly and do that one more time. So essentially, if you're trying to stretch the left side of your neck, your chin is going down to your right, towards the right of your hip. And your hand is in the back of your head, just in the center, and pushing downwards gently. Just 10% force. And that's that. You could also do this now again on the opposite side. So I'm going to take my hand, touch my ear, and turn my head. So my ear is going to my left shoulder now. My chin is what I call parallel to the floor. It's not exactly parallel, but it's just envisioning that my ear is going to my shoulder. Letting the opposite arm, which is my right arm, just hang down, or you could put it behind you and feel a little bit more of a stretch. Holding it for 15 seconds. And just remembering to breathe. And then letting your head up. Doing that one more time. And I meant to tell people you could put any questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and Meg will answer them for you. Meg will ask them and I will answer them for you. And as I come back up, I'm gonna face you. I'm gonna take my head down to my chest and then over to my left side of my chin, and taking my left hand, I'm going to push downwards in the center of my head, and I can feel that stretch in the back of posterior side of my neck. Just relax. And if you don't feel the stretch, you might not be tight there, so don't worry about it. And one more time. And now as I come up, I wanted to also tell you that a lot of times people have asked me questions about my own hands getting tired. As I mentioned, I typically will use better body mechanics in order to make sure that I'm not making my hands get tired. So my hands are my tools. So I can use what I call soft paw. I can use my real knuckles straight on, or I could use the tops of my knuckles. So because we still have 5 minutes left, I was just going to show you a little bit for your legs, your calves. So I'm going to just go ahead and bring my camera down lower. And I take my leg up. I have black, so it might be hard for you to see black on black. So I'm just going to put this here. And so with your calves, if you're able to get your foot across your knee, it's very helpful. You can just use your knuckles. I'm using the top part because this is such a meaty muscle. You could get even more pressure. Again, noticing how I'm rocking forward. I'm rotating my my wrist a little bit so that I could get the pressure in directly with my knuckles, and feeling that pressure right on down. That feels great. If you're not able to get your leg up, your other option is to put your foot on a stool or something down lower, and you can use the clamshell technique and just do that clamshell technique on your calves this way. That feels really great, and it can be very helpful to release tension, cramping that you get in your legs. This can be a preventative thing. People ask me often about that. If I get cramps in my legs, what should I do? Most of the time we need more water intake. Sometimes it might be a mineral deficiency. Other times you just are in need of a massage, and so it might be time. I recommend people get massages every 3 weeks to 4 weeks. It really depends on you and what your daily living activity is and how much tension you have, but you'll reap the rewards if you do it on a consistent basis. So it's not, some people do get it every week, but really every 3 weeks to 4 weeks is most ideal. The other thing that you want to make sure that with doing self-massage techniques is that if you are having any difficulty getting into a certain area, there are tools which I didn't bring with me today, but you could use a lacrosse ball, a golf ball, a tennis ball even. You could use them to roll out on your body in those ways, and that could be very effective. The best ways to use those balls though are to make sure that your legs or your arms or your body's in the most relaxed position. So you don't ever want to be like holding it up. You don't want the muscles to be contracted. You want them to be soft and receiving. So if you're able to have a ball that you can roll on your leg at the same time that you're sitting, that's going to be great. And ideally, you don't want to be seated in a soft chair. You want something that's firm so that you're not going to be sinking in, and just rolling it out on your thighs. Right now, all I'm doing is using my hands and rolling on my thighs, and it feels really wonderful. Meg, I'm not sure if there are any questions. We have 3 minutes left, and I can show a couple more techniques on the body, but I just wanted to make sure and ask if there are any questions yet.
Well, there are no questions yet, but I'm actually just wondering about all of our people who are typing on a keyboard. I'm wondering if there's anything in specific that they can do to relax.
That's wonderful. Yes. So again, forearms are important. So I did a little bit on the hands. So with a keyboard, I highly recommend every hour to take just 2 or 3, not 2, 3 minutes. You can do 2 minutes probably, and just do some wrist rotations, counting 15, and do it one way and then 15 the other way. And then I would recommend, I'm going to show you on my pillow again. I would recommend while if you're at your desk, and I'm putting the pillow here just so you can see, you can just have your arm in your lap and just take your forearm and just roll down, because your fingers, the forearm extensor muscles are what's controlling your fingers from typing. So just doing this kind of compression on there will be wonderful. And then the last is wrist, I don't know what I would call these, just frictioning the wrist. It's just creating a little heat in here. So I'm, at the same time I'm rotating this side, I'm rotating my wrist in general. And then you could use your fingers, and at the base of your hand, just use your thumb, just feel around in there. And that can help make it feel a little, it just gives any releases that you might have. And you could also, keeping your hands together, and just do a little rotation like this. There's no rhyme or reason, just think about the way your wrist moves. And play tricks on your mind and do it the opposite way too. I have a hard time doing that, but those are some things that I would recommend. Sometimes we just need to strengthen. If your hands get tired often, I mean, yes, it is from use, but your muscles might need strengthening. So you might want to work with a fitness trainer to help incorporate some strengthening exercises. People are quick to go to the physical therapist, but consider, being more preventative and getting work in with a fitness trainer. With that being said, I'd like to just share my contact information on the screen if you don't mind.
Yes, that would be perfect. Thank you. It's amazing how quickly the muscles feel better.
So I thank you all for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing you again on Thursday at 9 a.m. And our contact information is here. And if you ever are looking for massage, yoga, meditation services, we have some great workshops coming up this month. So check us out.